Audio check. Chat room. Anyone get me? Audio check. Chat room. Anyone get me? Audio check. Chat room. Anyone get me? Audio check. Okay, people, I believe we are live. I believe. So, unfortunately, today you have just me because Ben has gone on holiday and Adam has gone absent without leave. So, you're left with me. So, hello, and welcome. I shall endeavour to try and work my way through this as I do absolutely everything. Ben, as always, decided to play Fortnite instead of helping me set everything up, and it's only on YouTube because Restream was sending it to the wrong YouTube channel. So we're on YouTube, and that's it, chaps. If you are looking for it on Twitch, you're not getting it. And if you're on Twitch, you're not hearing me. So, anyway, there we go. I thought I would start the preamble with this chap. So, Jeff Moody, the director of commercial spaceflight in Cornwall, is saying they're going ahead, or they're getting ready to have their first rocket launch from UK soil. Now, I don't know why. I really don't, because if you're launching from UK soil, you're pretty high up latitude-wise, and normally you try and get as close to the equator as you can when you're launching rockets. That's why Florida's pretty good. California's okay. And Ariane uses French Guiana or something like that, or part of some island somewhere in the middle of the Atlantic. So I really don't know why we would be launching from the UK unless we're going for a polar type of orbit where we go around the planet the wrong way, so to speak, you know, from top to bottom. But we'll see what happens. Anyway, let's crack on. Welcome to this episode 185 of Chasing Dissent Live with me, John.
Welcome to my party, we're just getting started. A life is a dream or a nightmare scarring. Hand me a drink cause I think I'm going all in. Get me a shrink who can catch me when I'm falling. Cover up my scars, flip the handlebars. Crashing in my car, wake up in a bar. I'll be a superstar, just on my avatar. This world is so bizarre.
And there we go. I think I managed to successfully run the intro. So, moving on to the mood of the day, and Prince Harry's boast that he managed to kill, what was it, 25 Taliban fighters or something. And I think it's a boast because real soldiers don't tell you how many people they killed. As someone said, it's like asking a woman how many men they have slept with. One keeps it to oneself. Indeed. So, I think he's kind of put himself in a bit of danger here, though, and because you know, I mean, look at old Salman Rushdie. He wrote a book and ended up getting stabbed on stage, and life-changing injuries. I mean, the guy's never going to be right again. Yes, he's quite old, but that doesn't excuse it. You know, I mean, the guy was like giving a speech, and next thing you know, he's lying in the hospital, and that's it. And Harry's he's putting a target on his back, and he's putting a target on his wife's back, and he's rented his children's back. So there you go. So Harry, what you gonna do? What you gonna do when they come for you? the Telegraph, which I never pay for because I do not pay for my propaganda. But their headline is fairly straightforward. Conservative voters now think the cost of Brexit outweighs its benefits for the first time. Well, I don't think it's the cost of Brexit that's outweighing its benefit. I think it's the fact that the government's costs are outweighing their benefits, because everything that's gone wrong and everything that's created problems has been the fault of the government and not so much Brexit. There's no reason to pander to the EU if you're not going to be part of it, but that's what they keep doing. They keep pandering to it, they keep changing things, they keep making accommodations. I mean, our trade with the EU has actually gone up, I think, and not by an insubstantial amount. It's like 2 billion or something since we left. So there's no reason for it to really be costing as much. It costs individuals more. And it costs individual firms more because things have changed there. So you're getting things like, you're not getting your VAT back and stuff like that, or you're having to pay VAT, and it's making life very difficult when you try and transport stuff to and from the EU. But that's something that could be worked out with proper, a proper agreement. And there's no reason why we can't have a proper agreement without being part of the EU. I mean, look at Switzerland. Switzerland isn't part of the EU. Norway is only part of the trading bloc as such. It's not part of the EU. So I really don't understand why it needs to be such a problem, because if the will was there, you could actually work it out. And I think that's the problem. The government don't want to work it out because ultimately, and they're right enough when you look at it, the Conservative government was a party of Remainers. I mean, remember David Cameron? He resigned. He resigned when he lost the vote and everybody said no, we're leaving. So that's not the actions of someone who is prepared to bend to the will of the people. That's the actions of someone who threw his toys out the pram. I was very, very disgusted with Cameron when he did that. It's just not on. Right, moving on. Speaking of governments, so this is Switzerland, and Switzerland operate a more, I've banged on about it before in the past, they operate a more direct democracy than we do, in that some of the big issues go to like a referendum and people vote on them. Now, I know people say that that's basically majority rule, and you're getting, it's not really democracy, it's just the people voting and it's the will of the majority. But is that not what democracy really should be? Because at the moment, the will of the people that vote for our representatives, right, is always going to be a minority. And when those representatives get to Parliament and start to represent us, they're representing a minority that voted for them, and then they're representing a minority of their own interests generally. So I can't see any downside to having a wider and a more inclusive democracy where more people vote. Yes, you will get maybe some bad decisions, but let's face it, people, we're getting some pretty bad decisions just now from our current government. So, I'm strongly in favour of much smaller government and much more representation. So in this day and age, why can't we vote? Because the technology's there. So why can't we vote individually? I mean, they used to, for fuck's sake, they did it in Athens way back at the dawn of civilization. Instead of having, the whole city voting, but you had over 1,000 people representing the city, and the city wasn't huge at that point, remember? So you had over 1,000 people would take votes and things, not like the 600 people that are now representing 65 million or 70 million people. So they're not representing us, they're representing themselves. I'm sorry about the rain, but it's Scotland and it rains all the freaking time. It's set to rain all week. and Vice President Kamala Harris is now saying the cost of insulin that people co-pay, so they pay part of it, is now $35 a month, thanks to our Inflation Reduction Act. Hold on a minute, Kamala. Wasn't that what Donald Trump did? like 5 or 6 years ago. It was down to $35. And you cancelled it. In fact, the first thing Biden did when he got into power was he cancelled the cap. And now you've brought it back and claiming it as your own. These people are unbelievable. I mean, this is just rampant in government. You know, you do things that another government did and then claim it as your own, or you blame something that another government did that you actually did and, you know, say it's their fault and that's why everything's in a mess. So you blame the last government. And I mean, much like our Prime Minister is probably blaming the last Prime Minister or the Prime Minister before that for all the faults that have gone wrong when he was the freaking Chancellor. So if he's going to blame anyone for the economy, he can only look to himself, but no. And on that point, why does Rishi Sunak speak to everyone as if they are the held back class at primary school? He talks down to absolutely everyone as if they're some kind of moron. I really do not like his approach at all. I don't like the man. I think he's condescending and patronising, and I think he doesn't really have a clue how real people have to live, and he is completely divorced from reality. He's a non-entity, and he's short, and you can never trust short people because you always have short person syndrome. Big chips on shoulders, short people. And if you're out there and you're short, you know exactly what I mean. You do. You're aggressive little shit, aren't you? Now, this is the mother of Ashley Babbitt. And Ashley Babbitt was the sole person that was killed during the January the 6th insurrection in America. And she was shot, I think she was shot by a Capitol police officer while in the Capitol building. She was unarmed. Her mother obviously was not celebrating, holding a memorial for her, was on the road. Now, it may be that she did obstruct traffic or whatever, but I think there's a more sensible way of dealing with someone like this rather than arresting them for jaywalking and obstructing traffic. I mean, really? I mean, this woman has lost her daughter to the police, the Capitol Police, who then arrest her and charge her with jaywalking and obstructing traffic. It doesn't seem to me to be a very good way of believing people. Not believing people, a very good way of dealing with people who are probably and will be still in mourning. You know, it's just insensitive in the extreme, and just another way in which the federal organisations show their loyalty to a particular party rather than the people that they should be representing. So disgusted again. I'm disgusted a lot today. What is this? What is this cold wave shock? So 25 die of heart attacks, brain strokes in a day, right? In Kanpur. Now, why in Uttar Pradesh does the cold weather kill people? Because it gets cold there at times. You know, it's not all sweetness and light. I mean, I've seen the temperature change here like 10, 12 degrees in the space of 8 hours. You know, you can go from like 12 or 14 degrees to -4. And so you're changing more. And yet nobody dies. So I think this is a very strange report, a cold wave. You know, so it gets cold and people start dying. Now, people do die more in the cold than they do in the heat. But how do people manage to survive in Canada where it gets down to like -40? In Sweden, where it's cold, you know, for the majority of the winter. You know, you're knee deep in snow all the time. How do these people survive? How can they manage? I think there may be something. There may be something else.
You know what it is!
And there comes the voice of Ben. Isn't it nice to hear him, or not, as the case may be? Oh, Spencer. Anyway, what I need to do is probably remind you that that we need your support in order to carry this on, and to do that you can support us at patreon.com/Chasing Dissent, or you can support us at ko-fi.com/Chasing Dissent. That way. Down there. So it's difficult when everything's not mirrored. So yeah, you could do that, and I'll post that in the chat. Please excuse me as I do this, because obviously it looks like I'm not paying attention, but I am. I'm always paying attention to you chaps, because you are the very reason that we're here. Now, I'd like to ask people that are involved in the NHS, because I haven't been to hospital for some quite time. This guy, this report came out in the Liverpool Echo, and the guy took his father to hospital because he'd had a heart attack, or a suspected heart attack, right? And he was hanging about the hospital, and he said it was like a doomsday scene, and there was people all over the place. So I'd like to actually find out what's happening in hospitals in A&E departments. Is it as bad as people say? Is it a doomsday scene? Are there people, he said there was like 12 ambulances outside and people were stuck in them and all the lights were going, and it sounds a bit over dramatic. It might not be, but eventually he said he had to put his father in a treatment room because there was no seats and all this, and it's when it comes down to it, there was nothing wrong with him. He had a bit of muscle pain in his back, so they sent him home. Right? Now, why did he feel the need to have to go to A&E? Did he not approach NHS 24 or whatever? Could he not get through? Could he not get through to his doctor? Did he try phoning his doctor's surgery? Or he would probably just go, "I'll go to the on-call doctors at the hospitals." See, this is a problem, because A&E departments aren't A&E departments anymore, because they're not just for accidents and emergencies. They get filled up with people who are going to out of hours doctors. Because you used to be, when you phoned your doctor, there was an on-call doctor, and he would come and see you if he thought he had to, or he would phone you and tell you what he thought you had to do, right? But now the on-call doctor service is handled at the local hospital, where it is up here. So what happens is, if you're out of hours, and let's face it, doctors don't do a lot of hours, and before you castigate me, they don't do a lot of hours where you as a person can actually speak to them, because they maybe start at, the receptionist starts at 8 o'clock in the morning, the doctor's appointment starts at 9 or whatever. They finish for lunch, and then they do another couple of hours in the afternoon. So your window of opportunity for speaking or going to the doctors is low. It's even lower since they stopped actually practicing as doctors in some cases, and therefore you're going to probably, if you're inconveniently having what you think is a serious problem out with doctor's hours, you're going to have to speak to the on-call doctor, and the on-call doctor is always at the hospital. So you end up at the hospital. So no matter how you work this out, more and more people are going to hospitals. And hospitals seem to be particularly ill-equipped to deal with people, because, one, we're cutting down the amount of beds, we're cutting down the amount of staff, we're cutting, everything's getting cut. We're cutting down the amount of hospitals. We build bigger hospitals and then don't staff them. So what exactly is it you're trying to do? Is the government trying to just run the NHS down to the point where they will sell it, and then we'll all have to pay at the point of need, or what? I think we really know the answer, don't we? Yeah, we know the answer. There's been quite a few of these come out this week. Couple of studies on the efficacy of masks and whether they make a difference or not to your ability to catch respiratory diseases or whatever. And they're saying even the N95 has been called into question now. And if you remember, that kind of backed up by the data that Ben had mentioned from Germany, where there was really no difference, because they prescribed N95 masks there, and you had to wear an N95 mask, and really their transmission rates, their overall disease rates, everything was very similar to regions that didn't have either any restrictions or just wore face coverings generally. So it would appear that as we suspected, it doesn't make an awful lot of difference in your choice. So these people that are still hanging on to them, why? And remember, current government advice is to wear one if you have symptoms and are feeling unwell, right? That's current government advice. But if it doesn't necessarily do anything, why would you do that? And why would the government advise that? Strange times we live in, that we have to do all these signalling, to make people happy. Now, this is obviously hearsay. This is Justin Trudeau's brother, and he is saying that the WEF has compromising material on Justin that keeps him in check. Well, it must be some bloody good material, because there's more than keep him in check. The guy's a raving tyrannicist. He's a complete out-and-out dictator. So yes, I believe he is a pawn of the global elite, but I'm not quite sure that they have anything on him. I think he's maybe just bought into the whole thing, hook, line and sinker. But if you have anything, if Justin's brother has anything to back that up, it would be good to see it. But hearsay is hearsay. Anyone can say anything about anyone to some degree. But you don't know if it's true or not. Anyway, what's happening in the chat? Anybody? It was very quiet in the chat today. I see Vaughn, Milton Mushroom, Spencer, and Belladonna. Hello, and Beats Crates. So that's good. What's happening, guys? Is this your first full week back at work? Are you all excited for it? Ready to go? Still battling with trains and strikes, no doubt. Speaking of hearsay, Substack, Joe Biden's director of digital strategy, Rob Flaherty, pressured Facebook to censor Tucker Carlson. Now, it's a redacted printed email, so the efficacy of it, the veracity of it cannot be confirmed, but it certainly isn't something that would surprise me in the light of much of the information that's come out of the Twitter files regarding the government's censorship of social media and the way that they're doing things. So, yeah, I could believe this. I could believe it, and I could believe that they would go after Tucker, because Tucker isn't the most, or he isn't the best at following the narrative, should we say? So he's probably said too much for them to be happy with him, especially the Biden administration, who like to keep control of things, don't they? They don't like people thinking for themselves. They don't want people to talk amongst themselves. They don't want them to talk to the public, and they don't really want them to tell things that they haven't approved and they don't approve of. Speaking of not approving, Mr. Djokovic won the Australian Open, didn't he? So, after getting booted out last year, he goes back this year. I don't even know if I'd have gone back, to be fair. But he goes back this year and wins. But he still can't play in America. Because, as you know, America have extended their emergency legislation until the 10th of April. So you need to have your full course of treatment in order to enter America. Unless, of course, you enter over the southern border in an illegal manner and then get bussed up to Kamala's house in Washington or wherever it is. But, yeah, there you go. So, well done, Novak. This is the former Russian President Dmitry Medvedev. Now, he's a bit of a hardliner, okay? When he calls for warships with hypersonic missiles to be stationed off the coast of America, I think what he's doing is he's pointing out that America has, a stack of nuclear weapons sitting in the EU and Europe generally, that would deliberately, that would are obviously very close to Russia, and what he's saying is, we've got nothing near you. So I think what he's saying is he wants to put the warships there to give them a kind of feeling of what it's like to be Russian. Now, I'm not supporting either side here. Nuclear weapons are, there's probably something that, I was going to say they've probably stopped us having another world war. But they haven't really stopped us having wars, because with 201 incursions on foreign soil since 1945, America's really never taken its foot off the gas, because, you know, when you've got a huge military industrial complex to keep fed, you've got to keep churning out all the kit, and that's why this proxy war that they're having with Russia and Ukraine is really doing them good, because they're getting through a lot of kit. I mean, they're getting rid of all their old stuff. France is getting rid of all their old wheeled tanks and buying new wheeled tanks. You know, Germany's giving away their old kit, and everybody's getting rid of all the rubbish, and they're sending it off to Ukraine to get blown up by the Russians. So it's kind of win-win for everyone at the moment, apart from the people of Ukraine, who are probably, you know, getting everything ruined: businesses, lives, education. You know, I mean, it can't be nice living in a war zone, especially if Russia starts to up the ante, which there's a lot of talk about them upping the ante once the spring starts to come in, which is only a couple of months away. All that America are doing is prolonging this. All that Europe's doing is prolonging this by giving Ukraine more arms. Ukraine's propaganda's gone into high gear again. They always claim they're winning, but I've seen videos. I saw some videos last night of them loading bodies onto the back of a truck, dead Ukrainian bodies, soldiers, and quite high numbers. Russia are claiming they've wiped out like 1,200 people yesterday, which isn't great for either side, because both are losing. US intelligence reckons for every one Russian, 10 Ukrainians go. So that, to me, isn't something that any side is winning, because there'll be a lot of losses both sides, but the losses on the Ukrainian side are probably much, much higher than we're being told. And they're going to run out. They're going to run out of people, and they're going to run out. Well, they're not going to run out of equipment, because the US and the EU are still going to keep pumping them full of it. But they're going to run out of people to use it. And then what's going to happen? Because that's the big question. What's going to happen then? And that's the point where somebody starts to get desperate, and you don't know what direction that takes. Oh, I have gone the wrong way. My mistake. Speaking of dictators and tyrannists, the Victorian government is now set to seize private property if it fails energy efficiency tests. So you've got to have your home properly insulated and using the right things to heat it or cool it or whatever, or they're going to take your house off you. So you people that buy houses, remember, and although this is Australia, you know, you try not paying your council tax for 3 or 4 months and see how long you keep your house. Because even if you own your house outright, you never really own it. Because if you stop paying the tax on it, it's not your house anymore, is it? Or you lose your job and you can't afford to pay your debts, and they sell your house to pay your debts. It's not your house, is it? So really, does anyone ever own a house? Good point. We never saw this one coming, did we? In Scotland. So, trans inmates are trans inmates who identified as female when sent to prison, when they're being released after serving their sentence, are reverting back to being males. We were told this wouldn't happen because, of course, who would do that? Who would do such a thing? Who would pretend to be a woman in order to serve their sentence in a woman's jail as a man and then become a man again once he'd been released. It's baffling, isn't it? Who would do such a thing? It's baffling that anyone doesn't do this these days if they get sent to jail. And this is quite disturbing. This was quite local to me. This is Renfrew, which is not far away. This young woman was found dead at home after her online friends raised the alarm. She apparently was a fervent gamer. As you see from the chat, they wished each other Happy New Year, and then she was found on the 3rd of January dead in her house of unexplained causes. No foul play or suspicious circumstances, just unexplained causes, which is quite worrying.
You know what it is!
Now, I have no idea what this is. The Guardian, as always, jumps the shark. This is just ridiculous. How to turn overripe banana skins into bacon? No, you cannot turn overripe banana skins into bacon. I think what they've done is just burnt overripe banana skins and said, here, chew on this. It's a bit like bacon in that it might be chewy and a bit crunchy, but it won't taste anything like it, and it won't do you any bloody good because it's an overripe banana skin. That's just madness. Why would you want to eat this crap? It's like insects. Insects are not good for you. They're full of chitin. It's not good. Cuts you into little bits. Speaking of social media censorship, what we have here is The Spectator wanted to run this as a cover, and Facebook told them they can't run it as an advert because it's offensive. To whom? To the idiot that's running the White House, because he who's going to offend him? He doesn't know if it's Monday or 2018. He's completely lost it, and this is quite a good cover. It's quite witty. It's humorous. So why can't The Spectator use that? Because this is ridiculous. If you cannot mock your leaders, and there's a problem, because we shouldn't even be using the word leader, because these people are not leading us. They're controlling us. If you can't mock your controllers, who the hell can you mock? And why can't you mock your controllers? It's like the world has really descended into the annals of 1984. It's Minority Report, it's thought crimes, it's controlling your speech. You can't say anything bad about anything. It's just crazy. Oh, so let's have a quick look at the chat. How's it going? How's it going? You know what it is. If brother gets accident patrolling news, right? Yep. Ukraine reportedly recruiting by force. That would be interesting. Well, did you not see the thing? Did I put it in a short? But they were welding tank. Well, see, there was a report that the Russians had a tank drive up to them, right? Gun turned away, tank drives up to them, and then tapping from inside the tank in the form of dash 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 dot 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 dash dash dash, all the other way around, whatever one's SOS, right? And when they went to open the tank, the hatches were welded shut. So they prized them open, and the Ukrainians came out and surrendered. Now, I don't know if that's true or not. I don't know if it's true. There was a video. Anyone can fake a video because, let's face it, they have done so in the past, especially one side who is a penchant for using video game footage and purporting it as real. But anyone can fake a video, so I don't know if it's true or not. But it's certainly worth investigation. And if they are recruiting by force, that we're getting to the point where they are starting to run out. Yeah. Well, I don't think it's going to be a while before Russia would run out, because they've got, I think they've got 2 divisions of people ready to join the battlefield. So they've got a lot of people, or they've got a lot more people than Ukraine. But then again, apparently a lot of people left Russia when the mandatory call-up came out. That's right. So this is real. Okay, I've done a wee bit of digging. This is real, right? So Wells Fargo has fired its vice president of operations in India, Shankar Mishra, after he urinated on a 72-year-old woman on a business class flight from New York to New Delhi. The mind boggles, okay? The mind boggles, because how did they even come about? But it gets worse, because his defence, and this is defence apparently, he is saying it was consensual. What the hell is going on? What the hell is going on this airline? People are urinating on each other in business class. So anyway, in his defence, it was consensual, right? And he paid for her dry cleaning. But on the other hand, since he arrived in India, he has gone AWOL. The police are looking to speak to him, but no one can find him. So Wells Fargo have said he doesn't work for them anymore. He's been fired. I mean, you'd think in an initial glance this was just a pish story, but there's more to it. Why would you want a prime drink, Vaughn? Why would one of the guys in the office want that? Anyway, yeah. Well, what's that? That's Logan Paul's drink, isn't it? Prime. Yeah, I mean, these people that were queuing up and breaking down barriers and things to get to it, they're obviously just trying to sell it. Absolute idiots. Now, a Scientific American, you disturb me. Now, this is the American football player, the black American football player who received a tackle, and they started talking about this thing about this commotio cordis or whatever, but it then turned out he had a second heart attack and had to be revived a second time in the ambulance on the way to the hospital, which makes it very unlikely that was the original diagnosis that he come up with was real. So this guy, I don't understand this headline, because it says his collapse highlights the violence black men experience in football. Hold on a minute. Have you seen American football? Everyone experiences violence. I mean, you deliberately run at someone and hit them as hard as you can to knock them down when they've not got the ball. If they've got the ball, you hit them even harder. But you do this all the time. It happens all the time. It doesn't matter what colour you are in American football. I mean, how can you even tell half the time? Because you're not. You've got someone to mark. You go and mark them. You go and hit them. You hit them hard because you want to put them down. This isn't about colour. It's not about race. This is a ridiculous statement. An absolutely ridiculous statement to make. It's like, it's a joke. It must be a joke. I can't get my head around it at all. This is a very poor taste. So following on from the last slide where the guy collapsed on the field, right? The Pittsburgh, I think it's the Pittsburgh Steelers, they used to be the Pittsburgh Steelers, have then gone and mocked his resuscitation by doing it as a celebration after scoring. So they've done a mock CPR on their field after they've scored. I mean, that is a really, really poor. It's funny, but it's in very poor taste. Apparently, it wasn't received terribly well by the crowd. I can understand why, because it was really only 2 or 3 days from the guy nearly died. But I don't know who thought that was a good idea. But hey, they did it. They'll probably get a fine for it. Speaking of, who thought this was a good idea? What the fuck? This is like the irony gone mad, because Katie Price, aka Jordan, is going to be a life coach. What's she going to coach you to do? Make you look like a cat? She says her life, she's had a few ups and downs in her life. I'll bet she has. But now she wants to use her turbulent experiences to help others as a life coach. I'm losing the ability to speak because this is ridiculous. I mean, who genuinely would ask for life advice from Katie Price? You know, I mean, how many times has she been caught drunk driving and rolling cars, and how many men has she left in her wake? How many kids has she had? I just can't. And I mean, how many bankruptcies? I just can't see how she could be coaching anyone. Or is she just, what is she going to say? This is what I did wrong, don't do it. This is what I did wrong, don't do it. That might work. She might be onto something actually there. Maybe that's what she's going to do. Tony's got a point there. It's like Pete Best leaving a band to become a careers advisor. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, so anyway, that's Katie's. That's Katie, and that's it. Oh my God, that's it. We've come to the end of this. We've come to the end of the slides. We've gone through them quite quickly because we obviously didn't have Ben chipping in and giving us his two pennyworth. I hope he's having a nice time. Hope you're having a nice time, Ben. We're thinking of you. Hope you don't overdose on sugar. Hope you don't die. But yeah, have a nice time in that area, and we'll hope to hear from you on your vlog of going for a drive on the other channel. That's the other channel, which is 100 Acre Swamp, and you'll find that on YouTube if you search for it. I'd like to remind you all that if you are enjoying the show, we would love it if you could support us on patreon.com/Chasing Dissent, or on Ko-fi, that's ko-fi.com /Chasing Dissent. If anyone does, and it does work because I tested it works on mine. If anyone supports us during the show, what happens is the siren goes off and it reads out your message in a robotic voice as it scrolls slowly up the screen. So you do get the opportunity to interrupt me or Ben when he's on. So we'll be back as always on Wednesday. Tuesday is our video production day. So Ben's got some videos in production, so we're looking forward to seeing them. And we're still working on the review of the year. Having been let down by our friend, we may have to do some more thinking about that. I need to lose weight because my good camera is broken and I'm using the webcam, and it makes me look even fatter. Well, does that make me look fatter, or is it the fat that makes me look fatter? So I shall be trying to lose weight now after Christmas and New Year, because I did put weight on. I have put weight on. Other than that, I'd like to thank you. I'd like to thank you from the bottom of my heart for attending this, my solo venture into the news. I hope it's been okay. I hope you've enjoyed yourself. It's been quicker than normal, but we're not bad. We're still about 45 minutes, so that's reasonable entertainment for one person. And I've had to do all the talking, apart from the odd time when Ben has chipped in with, you know where it is. But yeah, I hope it's not been too boring and not been too bad for you. And we will see you on Wednesday. And I think we may have Ben on from a foreign country. So we'll see how that goes. Meantime, thank you for attending this, episode 185 of Chasing Dissent Live with me, John. And see you on Wednesday. Bye-bye.
Cause I don't give a fuck what you say. Yeah, I'ma do shit my way. So you can go kick rocks, I'ma stack bricks up, build what I want to make. Yo, I got a lot of shit to say, so I'ma do this every day. I'll be writing things until I'm fucking buried in my grave.